So there's a great Chelm story about a guy who loses his keys. And he's on the street searching for them. His friend passes by. He says, "What are you doing?" He says, "I lost my keys." He says, "Where'd you lose them?" And the guy points down the block. He says, "I lost them over there." So his friend says, "So why are you searching here?" And the guy says, "Because it's much lighter here. The lamppost is here, and so it's much brighter." We laugh at this guy, as we do at all Chelm stories, because they're great stories about human foolishness. But if we would listen a little closer, there's also a lot of wisdom. We're all that guy. We're all searching. We're looking for our light. We're looking for our spark. We're looking for our connection to God. We're looking for the light inside of us that once felt so natural, but now feels a little hidden. We're looking for the parts of us that once flowed easily, but they now feel a little bit stuck. We lost it somewhere. And like the guy in the story, we often search for it where it feels lighter. We look for it where it feels safer, more familiar. We're looking there instead of where we actually lost it. Let me ask you this. If we were on a quest, you're on a quest to connect with God. You're on a quest to experience light. You're on a quest to experience more ease, because that's what comes from our relationship with God. Where would you look? What would you do? And the typical answer is, do another mitzvah, study something, teach somebody what you learned, do a mitzvah with someone else. And these are all excellent answers, because indeed every single mitzvah is a moment of alignment, is a moment of connection with God, is a moment of an expression of our light. But I'm offering another idea here that the Alter Rebbe teaches in the Maamer Ani Ledodi, a very well-known Maamer of the month of Elul. The Alter Rebbe highlights a different approach to finding our light. He says, during this month of Elul, he gives that analogy about the king in the field, right? Year long, the king is in the palace. It's hard to approach him. It's hard to get a meeting with him. Only the VIPs have access. But during this month, the king is in the field, which means everyone can approach him. Everyone has access. The king is in the field. The Alter Rebbe explains that, what does this mean? What's a field? He contrasts it with a city. A city represents something that's built. It's ordered, it's inhabitable. A field, by contrast, is unfinished, it's messy, it's still under construction. And here's what this metaphor is telling us. In the month of Elul, God meets us there, in the unfinished parts of ourselves. God meets us in the unpolished, unsettled, messy, even wounded, even flawed parts of us. And here's the gorgeous thing. The Alter Rebbe highlights the detail. He says, God's not just tolerating meeting us there. The king, in the analogy, we see how the king comes with graciousness. He smiles at everyone. He greets each person with the Yud Gimel Midas HaRachamim, with an abundance of compassion. So back to where we started with the search for the light, okay? We're searching for what was lost, and the Alter Rebbe tells us you can only find something in the place where we lost it. Which means that if our godly spark is hidden, if my light is hidden, I can't just run to the polished, the spiritual experiences that are easy to grasp. I have to look in the place where the light got covered. I have to go find the light in the place where it was lost, not just under the lamppost. I have to go look in the anxious thoughts, and in the jealousy, and in the resentment, and in the fears, and in the moods that pull me down, and in the pain, and in the triggers. That's the field. That's where our godly spark, our light got eclipsed. And that's where we have to go. You know, the Alter Rebbe quotes a pasuk where Moshe tells the Jewish people, he says, Uvikashtem misham es Hashem Elokecha. And from there you will seek Hashem. From there, from the places inside of us that feel messy, that feel unfinished, that feel broken. Because underneath that mess, that's where the light is that Hashem placed in every single one of us. Life experiences may have buried it. Our animal soul and its survival instincts may cover it, with our ego defenses, with our survival tactics. But the spark is still there, and only we could uncover it. I'm the only one who could find my light. You're the only one who can find your light. And this is what the idea of going inward is. This is why it is so important. This is the avodah of tshuva. Of course, it's easy to keep myself, busy and light with these external godly opportunities, with another mitzvah, of course. But if we ignore that inner search, then my light is going to remain neglected. I'm the only one who can find it and uncover it. And for some people, the light feels so eclipsed that we don't even remember what it is that we're searching for. We try to fill ourselves with so many other ways entirely, ways that are entirely have nothing to do with God. But that's a separate topic. So how do we go in? How do we go in and find this light? And the Alter Rebbe actually maps it out for us. He says, look in the areas of your thought, your speech, and action. Look in the parts of your life that are not aligned with Hashem's will. Notice the places where you get stuck. Notice where fear rises. Notice where mistrust appears. Notice where there's resentment. Notice where there's tightness, where there's rigidness, where you're tight-fisted. These are the doorways. These are the trailheads to find your light. These are the places where our godly spark is being held captive. And the Alter Rebbe reminds us something so beautiful. He says, every single one of us has the capacity to do this. Because who are we really? We're called Yisrael. The name Yisrael is Sar Kel. Kel, this spark of God that enlivens us, that gives life to our nefesh elokis, to our godly soul. This Kel is Sar, is the ruler inside of us. And of course, in our own experience, it's true that my animal soul is very loud. It's true that my survival instincts are very clever, very sophisticated, and often sneak into the driver's seat. But beneath it, who am I at my essence? Who am I at my core? What is my truth? It's my Kel, my godly soul. And even, the Alter Rebbe says, even when that part is exiled inside of us, even when it is hidden, with one small movement, with one turn, he says we could redeem those parts of us and we could return to our core. We can go from being the captive of our survival instincts to being a free prince, to being able to lead from our truth. Now, of course, meeting this exiled light, this part of us that's hidden, it might not be easy. It's true that to get to light, you have to peel away the layers of the darkness that are covering it. It does mean facing pain, and it does mean facing discomfort. Going inward is going to mean being with all the difficult feelings and difficult experiences that we have pushed away, that we for so long avoided. But the Alter Rebbe gives us the first tool that we need. He says, you just need compassion. Usually when we think of these experiences, shame or fear blocks us from turning towards them. But compassion does the opposite. Compassion softens. Compassion opens. Compassion allows for healing. Now, I have this visual in my mind, and I'm going to offer it here. Perhaps it could help you. Imagine your anxiousness, your anxious parts, your resentful parts, your fearful parts, your rigid parts or compulsive parts or careless parts, whatever it is. Imagine all these parts not as your enemy. Imagine them as protectors of the prince. Imagine there's danger in the field. The king's protectors, the prince's protectors, the soldiers quickly come, grab him, and put him in an underground shelter to keep him safe. So this is literally what happens inside our system. These parts that you might look at as the enemy because they're not allowing your light to shine, they're really just protectors of this prince. They hid it away because life could be harsh. Experiences could be painful. So they protect the prince. They grab him and stick him in the underground shelter. They hide him. So it won't be hurt. So our light won't be hurt. So when we understand it in this way, when we meet these parts of ourselves, we bring them compassion. We have to mirror to them that there's safety here, so that they could release the prince, so that our truth can once again be in the driver's seat. Now here's a beautiful detail from the Maamer. The Alter Rebbe says, even if you feel you're so not okay that you can't even, muster up compassion for this, you don't even have the capacity to have compassion, the Alter Rebbe says, then have compassion on the part of you that can't even have compassion. That too is healing. Start there. In other words, don't give up. Don't resign. You're not a failure. Even if you can't have compassion on the part of you that can have compassion. So what does this all mean? What does this mean for all of us as we approach Rosh Hashanah? It means that in order to make this time meaningful, in order to develop and be ready for this relationship with the King who's being crowned on Rosh Hashanah, we have to look there. We have to have the courage to look there. Ubikashtem misham. We have to go look in the field, in the messy places, and bring compassion there. And in concluding the Maamer, the Alter Rebbe says, he encourages us, he says, we have to keep fortifying, strengthening our value system. We have to keep learning. We have to keep understanding. We have to keep learning Chassidus. Because when we encounter godliness, when you do find your light, which is going to happen as you clean away the clutter, when you do find your light, you need a keli to contain it. You need something to hold it. Learning these ideas, learning Chassidus, learning Torah gives us the vocabulary and it gives us the awareness of what it is that we're encountering. It gives us a container to then integrate these experiences into the long term, so that our relationship with God, so that our relationship with our light, it doesn't just flicker. It becomes fully woven, fully integrated into our daily being.